your attention. Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would please, just a moment for silent reflection or prayer. Jenny Guthrie, our treasurer, is just in a miserable state, and just to have a silent time thinking about her and praying for her. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, fellow board members. Mr. Steppick, would you like to take attendance?
Certainly. President Donnelly.
Here.
Vice President Brasington.
Here.
Secretary Steppick here. Treasurer Guthrie. Nah. Trustee Bailey.
Here.
Trustee D'Alessandro. Here. Trustee Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Steppick. Changes to the board agenda.
Yes, we have a couple. Under prearranged, we need to substitute lessons in the backpack with an update from Crossroads. And then also under curriculum, I would propose that we add item 6C to the agenda, college board quotes.
Would someone like to make that motion? Please.
I'd like to move to add college board quotes for 9-12 ELA resources to the board agenda.
Is there a second? Mr. Bailey? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll add that as 6C. College board. Very good. Consent agenda, the minutes of June 12th, bills payable for May 2018, and recommendations for employment. Dan,
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
is there support? Heather, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, prearranged request to address the board. Crossroads.
That's the statement that's wrong. Does it work? Hello. Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I'm Guy Copacetta. I'm the principal over at Oxford Crossroads Day School. When I addressed the board back in August, I wanted to kind of reintroduce Crossroads back to the district. I felt like there was a disconnect in regards to what we service out there, the students we have, the units we have, the different programs we have and whatnot. Now that we're back to the mainland, I like to call it, I just wanted to let you know a couple of highlights. We're doing some really cool stuff out there, and I just wanted to update you guys on what we're doing. My staff and I have 5 teachers out there, social worker, full-time, and a full-time psych, along with my secretary. We've really focused on getting our students back to their educational path. Our intake process is very thorough. When we get a kid from the Tri-County area, we get kids from Wayne County, Macomb County, Oakland County, Lapeer County. It doesn't really matter where they come from. We get kids from up north, UP. Our DHHS population doesn't have a range in regards to boundaries. So we really work to evaluate every student that comes through our doors, both academically and socio-emotionally. And we have 3 tracks that we're doing at Crossroads right now. One being your regular diploma track, a second one being a GED track, and our certificate of completion track. So we evaluate each kid that comes through our doors, and we put them on one of those 3 tracks. And you can save questions for later. I got a couple minutes for that later. Along with the programs I introduced back in August to you, we also revamped our community program. This is kind of like my baby out there. I've really grown this program. I market it. I actually passed around a brochure that I created, and I was very excited about the creation of this brochure because I did it myself. In my 36 years on this earth, that's the first brochure I ever made. So you guys can keep that, and I have plenty more. Okay? But our community program services the Tri-County area, and what we do is we get referrals from different districts for students with disabilities that are long-term suspended and or expelled. We do an intake, we do a very thorough intake process. We have a, we partner with Crossroads Youth, the agency, so our intake process has a couple of our school personnel and a couple of agency personnel. We look over the file, we look over the discipline, and then we decide whether or not we want to take that kid in. And if we do take that kid in, we charge a tuition rate to that district. And again, we get that kid back their educational path, and we service them for 180 days, one full school year. Our program has really taken off this year. We've generated about $100,000 since my hire for the district. But it's not really about the money, it's about doing what's right for the kids. We always make our decision what's best for our students, and when it comes with students with disabilities, we're really seeing a lack of free and appropriate public education for kids that have been long-term suspended or expelled. You know, so many times when I was a principal in Macomb County, when one of our students with disabilities was long-term suspended or expelled, we would put them with a tutor twice a week at the library, or we would put them on a computer online at home. And that just doesn't cut it for a student with disabilities. They need to be in a brick and mortar building. They need to have teachers, they need to have support, and that's what we provide these students from Clarkston, from Walled Lake, Huron Valley. I presented at Oakland schools. I presented at the MISD in Macomb County. I will reach out to Lapeer schools. I'll reach out into Wayne County because I really think this program is a very good one. And like I said, all the decisions we make are what's best for kids. So I'm really happy with this community program. And the good thing is I don't see it going away. I only see it growing. And the revenue is just a bonus on top of that. And another baby of mine is our GED program. When I started in 16-17, we're a private GED testing site as well. We have a boot camp program, and a lot of our students in the boot camp program is 14 through 17-year-old males, okay, that enter our boot camp program. A lot of those kids, they were coming to us with 0 credits. I'm talking 0. I'm talking a goose egg, nothing. Maybe 1 if they took gym. You know what I'm saying? So we needed to ramp up our GED program because we can't just have kids just say, hey, we're going to take the GED, good luck to you. It just doesn't work. These kids were not in school. Truancy was an issue. Behaviors were an issue. So my first year taking over, we had a half blended type model, half seated classes, half online. And as you can see with my statistics up here, we had 8 students test in 16-17. 5 of the 8 passed, was for a 63% pass rate. That was for the half and half model. This previous year, 17-18, we went to a 3rd model, 3rd seated, 3rd online, and 3rd right out of the GED book with a one-on-one teacher. And that's throughout the school day. And we had 13 students tested this year, and 10 of 13 passed all the content areas for a 77% pass rate. So as you can see, I'm not a data person, but our numbers are going in the right direction in regards to GED. And like I said, when you get a kid that's 16 years old with 0, 1, maybe 2 credits, their educational path is not going to be a diploma. So we have to offer something. And what we offer, that private GED testing site is a phenomenal aspect for them because it opens doors those kids never had before. We can get them into community college now. We can get them into a trade, whatever. So it's a very good thing we got going on. And to conclude with tonight is this is what it's all about. Okay. Sometimes it really does take a village, and I really believe this is that I ended this year with about 60 kids, but we had over 150 come through our doors. You know what I mean? We're a very transient population. Our kids have a lot of issues. I read some of the files. This young man here, for instance, who graduated with a certificate of completion this year, when the sheriff found him 6 years ago, he was in a cage locked to the beam in his basement, the cellar. Abused sexually, physically, the whole nine. He was pretty much like a feral child when he came to Crossroads. Working with Oxford Schools and Crossroads Youth Agency, this kid worked for 6 years with us, and he's going to age out with us. He's cognitively impaired, but he got a certificate of completion with us. He has a job now. He has been with our post-high program at the high school, and he's also going to be in semi-independent living in Lexington, Michigan. So he's going to live on his own. This is what we do out there, and this is such an amazing thing. It really is cool to see. And as you see the picture down at the bottom right, he has some character to him a little bit too. He's a real happy kid. Loves buses, loves Thomas the Train, So, anyway, any questions you have for me? You guys are always welcome to come out. I'll buy you a cup of coffee if you come out there. But we're really doing some good work out there. So, if any questions, please let me know. Yes.
I don't have a question as much as a comment. I just think it's amazing, just that one story right there that you were willing to share, but I really didn't know too much about you guys, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to come and tell us a little bit about what you do and how it works. And I've had people kind of ask me, and I really didn't have a lot of information to give them. I really didn't kind of know how things run over here. Let me ask you this, do people live there? Do some people live there? Like
Yeah,
live there?
about 90% of our population lives right on
They
campus.
live on campus?
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking about those like brick houses.
Yeah, it's kind of, it used to be Camp Oakland, so it's like a summer
Yes.
camp. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
Like a dormitory type, we call them units. They have barracks and, mess halls, all that stuff. And our school's implanted right on a residential treatment facility, so it's like a very unique situation.
Yes.
It's very unique. There's like maybe one other in the state.
Okay.
So it's,
And so the kids that don't live there, they would come here on their own with their own transportation?
No, Crossroads, we have our Learning Center program is kids on probation in the Tri-County area, mostly just Oakland and Macomb. And Crossroads Youth provides the transportation, picks those kids up, and drops them off after their program at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
Our community program, the resident district, like let's say I get a kid from Clarkston must provide the transportation to and from school.
Right, yep. Their home district.
Yes,
wherever their,
absolutely.
Their homestead is from.
Yes.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, awesome. Awesome job out there.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Anyone else?
I was impressed with when you came in August, and it's good to see that the enthusiasm is still the same. And lastly, I love the 77% in the GED.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really a traction. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's a great job. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Sir?
Yeah, a couple questions. If you go back a slide, you had 1/3 online, 1/3 seated. Is that the number of students that are taking online, or the time they're spending?
That's time spent. So if in a 6-hour day, I put them twice. We have the GED has online prep courses. So there'll be 2 hours in the lab, 2 hours seated. So I'll put them in like an Algebra 1 or a U.S. History, because U.S. History follows the GED quite closely. And then 2 hours they'll work one-on-one with the teacher right out of the GED book. And that has practice test questions. And when push comes to shove, the kids learn the most from working out of the book. That's what they'll tell you. Because every kid that takes a GED, I survey them. What helped you the most? What helped you the least? Stuff like that. The kids learn the most out of the book and taking the practice test online.
Okay. And then just one last question. In your pamphlet, it says the FAPE, the free and appropriate public education, but then over here it talks about the tuition. Is it everybody is charged for this, or is it free public education?
Well, every student with a disability is their right under IDEA is
Okay.
everybody receives a free and appropriate public education. So when I say when Clarkston Community Schools, I'm not knocking Clarkston. I'm just using them as a guinea pig here. When Clarkston Community Schools wants to send me a kid, okay, they already received their funding from the state of Michigan, both their special ed federal funds and the FTE from the state, right?
Okay.
So whatever they're doing in Clarkston's not working. Okay, this kid's got behavior issues. Let's say he got in a bad fight, he got suspended for 100 days. okay, long-term suspension. They'll call me and be like, hey, Guy, do you have a place for this kid? And what I do, I have smaller class sizes. All of my teachers are special education certified. We're kind of like a triage center, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Our classrooms never get over 10, 12 kids. You know, our PE gets around 15, 16, but that's the most kids we have in a class. And I'll look at his file and I'll see what we can do for him. And we'll bring him in, we'll do an IEP right as part of the intake process, and we'll see what he needs, what he or she needs right off the bat. We'll put him in classes. So Oxford Schools and the agency we don't get any foundation allowance for that kid. We don't get any special ed federal funds for that kid. So the tuition that we charge, which is right on par with any center-based program like Kingsley Montgomery. I'm not gouging people, I'm not taking their money out of their pocket, but it's right on par with the rest, and so that takes the place of the foundation allowance and the special ed funds that the district already received.
They already got that money.
They already got that money.
So it comes from Clarkston.
So Clarkston's paying you that money,
Clarkston's
they
not
already got.
Comes from
Right.
Clarkston.
So Clarkson paid it.
Clarkston
They already
pays
got the money.
and that's the free. It doesn't cost the kid anything, so it's still free
Right.
for that kid.
Right.
But Clarkson has to, we got to get ours, and so does the agency for feeding, insurance stuff.
Right.
Great job.
Awesome.
Good job. I want to come visit, so let's set up an appointment.
I'm on it. That is no problem.
Good. All right, anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
I just love the energy that you brought to Crossroads. It's a place, it's a special place that Oxford has, and it needs a special person, and I think you've hit the nail on the head out there. You bring the passion and energy, and I just want you to know that I appreciate what you bring there every day, because it's not an easy, it's not an easy job, and you do very, very well.
Well, I really appreciate that. And like I always say, like when you're growing up, when you find your career where you're supposed to be, you know it. And as soon as I started in Oxford, I just love it here. And then as soon as the Crossroads position opened up, I jumped both feet in, and I don't see myself going anywhere. As long as they don't go. I don't know what they got.
He's not having a nice, he doesn't have a game plan, don't worry about that. We're lucky to have him.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're lucky.
Is this getting filmed here?
It is.
There we go.
Good luck on your next review.
Mine's already done, right, Cam?
Not yet.
Oh,
Not quite.
they're really great people.
I didn't hear my name mentioned.
I was going to say, I have a slide for you.
We're already under the bus.
Yeah, but yours isn't done either. So.
Board members, anything else? Guy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey.
Bond update.
Good evening. I'm Chuck Lewis with Integrated Design Solutions, the architects working on the bond program. And I have with me Gary Steller from Clark Construction. So we wanted to come and give you an update on where we're at with the bond development. We have been working on what we call schematic design. So we had some planning that we did in the early bond to establish budgets. We've now worked through quite a bit more detail to understand the actual scope. So if you remember the basic, and I don't have a PowerPoint, this is kind of odd for an architect, so the scope, as you remember, in basic terms, was we're adding air conditioning to the elementary schools, repairing some of the miscellaneous rooftop equipment and mechanical systems with all the elementaries. So when we're done, all the elementary schools will have air conditioning, which in recent, towards the end of the year, I'm sure a lot of students will be excited about. And then at the high school, there was a big mechanical unit, I think if you'll remember, that feeds the original 300, 400, and 500 wing. That was the middle school, essentially, before the high school was wrapped around it. So we looked at replacement of that and the scope required to make that happen and some of the ancillary things that go along with that, like controls and boxes and things like that. So that basics, and then the roof, the roof at the high school as well, which is the original shingled roof, or asphalt shingled roof, will be replaced, as well as some of the original, for layman terms, I guess it's called flat roof, will be replaced as well. But it's the roofing that was part of the original building before the high school was added. So that was all our basic scope. So we took that, And Randy and his team and ourselves have been working on budgeting that to make sure, okay, we had an idea of what it cost the bond, where did it fall, basically after we go through all of our design and try to figure out what the scope is. So the original bond budget was about $7.8 million. Our current estimate is about 7.65. So that's really good news. At this stage of the game, we're about $150,000 under what we thought the project cost would be. I'll give that as a caveat. We move forward and we move into design development. We get more detailed. We have more issues we find. So some of that, I don't think we probably will end up balanced. And that's what we'll begin to work on now throughout the summer. And we'll probably come with another update for you in September. Our initial schedule has us going out for bids with this work ahead of time. If you remember, in our industry, a lot of things for schools are bid January and February. And there's a lot of stuff out on the street. And with the economy the way it's coming, we've tried to pull that back. We want to be the first on the street. So we're working to get our bid packages pulled together so that they'll be on the street right after Thanksgiving. We give homework before the holiday to the contractors. And then when we come back, we'll look through those numbers and see where we're at. And construction will have plenty of time to ramp up and get ready for the summer of next year. So I don't have the plans with me. I mean, I can forward those to you. They're the basic scope drawings that we reviewed with you before. They're not real exciting, but they tell a consensus of what the scope is. So I guess the basic message is we're on track, we're on schedule, and most importantly, we're on budget.
Right on.
Very good, very good.
So maybe too, just a point of clarification, when Chuck talks of the 7 million, this is just phase one. So the total phase one was 9 million and some change, but we already spent $1 million plus on busing. And so the construction portion of phase one, that's what that budget number Chuck's referring to. So,
and that number is also a construction budget. So that's when we bid, that's what we think the construction value would be. That's not total parking costs.
right.
There.
I may be getting out a little bit far, but we talked about roofs. And is there any, if we had enough cost savings throughout the project, what's the difference between your traditional shingle roof and sheet metal and that?
And a metal roof. For the portion that we were looking at doing, it's about $1.6 million.
So we can't.
So it's
not much
substantially
savings
more.
there.
Yeah. It's about double.
What the life cycle on that is?
It's maybe 10 years or so.
10 additional years?
10, 12.
So that's,
So the return on investment's pretty good.
okay. I just, something that crossed my mind, you see all the shingles that blow off of there, and just if it was metal on it. Just a thought.
It's a good question.
Any other questions or comments?
When you say the shingles, you're not talking about individual shingles, you're talking about like rolls of shingles, right? Or
No, it's pre-tab shingles.
it's not flat roofs?
No. There's a sloped roof in the center. It's a pitched roof. The original middle school had a lot of pitched roof on it. And then there's some flat roof that's like around the old gymnasium, which is now the auxiliary gym.
Yeah.
And pieces of it towards the cafeteria, that kind of thing. We're making some replacements to that roof, which are well beyond its life.
So the whole thing will have a new roof?
Except
Old parts, new parts, like everything's gonna get the same roof? No.
No. The existing roof over the high school from 2003-4 is still in good condition. And there's ongoing maintenance that has to happen with that, which Tony and his group does a good job of doing. So it's the original roof from when it was a middle school that wasn't redone when it was made into the high school in 03-04, if my memory's serves me right. I think that's about right. Yeah.
So maybe just clarification too, that building opened in 1998 as the original middle school. And so there are portions of that roof that are 20 years old. And I don't know, you guys can yell at me later if I'm wrong. The quality of the shingles used then is much different than the quality of the shingles that we're going to put on now. And so the difference of that lifespan between the higher quality shingles and the metal roof isn't great enough to warrant paying almost double to put a metal roof on instead of a higher quality shingle on those portions that we need to reshingle. So.
That's fairly accurate.
All right, you can yell now.
That's right on.
He's right on, actually, yeah. I tried to follow the last act.
Board members, anything else? Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pay you later, Tony.
The applause is for saving almost 200,000.
Yeah.
All right, Board of Education matters, board members in your packet. You had some documents about cameras and desktops.
Yeah, so under A and B, really, this is just for your information at this point. I will be coming to you at our next meeting with a couple of motions. One was for roughly, I want to say 34,000, 35,000, something like that. And that is to add additional storage for our cameras. So we want to add cameras, but according to law, we have to make sure that any image that we take, we need to be able to store for 30 days. And so we're at the point where if we start adding too many more cameras, we're not going to be able to store the number of days. So we're going to add the storage, and that will allow us to add cameras later. And then the second proposal that I will be coming to you, the estimate in there right now is roughly 210,000, something like that. That was based on our initial estimate of around 400 desktops. I think we're going to come in at a little bit more than that, not a ton more, but I think it's going to be somewhere between 413 and 420 actual desktops. But our goal is to replace all of our teacher desktops this summer and upgrade that technology as well. So I will be bringing formal motions with exact numbers to our next meeting. And both of these quotes are off of REMC for pricing purposes and those types of things to make sure we get the best price.
Excuse me. How often do we go back to those cameras, security cameras, as you investigate issues that happen at the high school and middle school? Like, how often are those used, and is it something that the administration has come forward with saying that they want more, or the sheriff's department, or where's that recommendation coming from?
So this past year with our security reviews, I think we've heard requests at all levels actually. So in our elementaries, we have roughly 5 or 6 cameras per building, so not a lot. They're probably used the least, but some of the elementaries came back and said, we'd like to add 1 or 2 more cameras here or there. The middle school has more cameras. They've said that they'd like to add some. By far, the high school has the most cameras, and by far, most of the additional requests came from the high school as well for maybe additional coverage in hallways that we currently don't have cameras, those types of things. Don't hold me to it, but I want to say roughly district-wide, we're somewhere between maybe 175 to 200 cameras right now. I think when everything's all said and done, maybe we'll be around 300 cameras district-wide.
Is there any discussion about having cameras on buses?
Yes, and I believe that the Transportation Department has purchased security cameras to go on our new buses, not to retrofit old ones. And again, don't hold me to it, but I'm going to say we're adding maybe 3 cameras per bus. some newer technology that the lens will allow you to see sort of like in a 360. So not just if you put a camera in the middle, it just doesn't look in front, it looks at all angles. And we are planning on putting cameras in all of our new buses for security purposes. And so those are where the request came from. And I think long-term we want to get there. We couldn't do it all in one step. And so this is the first step. And this money is budgeted out of the general fund. Great questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you. When you talk about adding memory, are all these cameras hooked to one system, like come to this building? Or are they monitored out of each of the buildings? How does that work?
All of the cameras reside on our network. It's sent through fiber all the way back to one central storage location. And I want to say roughly our current storage just for the security video files is well over 100 terabyte. And so in essence, this quote is going to allow us to double the amount of storage so that theoretically we could double the number of cameras if we ever wanted to do that.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right.
And the last thing on our Board of Education update is a strategic process update. I have asked Carl to present tonight. Carl was a member of a subcommittee of our meeting, of our big group meeting that met. And so what you have before you is a little trifold update that we have put together. It's not quite finished yet. There's a few more tweaks, but I will say that in essence, we wanted to boil down our focus and direction in as clear and concise wording as possible, and in such a way that a person maybe who isn't as familiar with all the educational jargon can read this and understand what is it we're trying to do and where are we trying to go over the next few years. And so I think with that, I'll just be quiet. Carl, you can take it away.
Thanks, Tim. So just to kind of give you an update, with the strategic process overview, this actually began about 2 years ago. And it was a collaborative process that consisted of central office administration and all the participating members in the OAA. And what we aimed to do was develop a living document, which is what you had before you, that mapped an alignment of district initiatives, programs, and desired outcomes from those initiatives and those programs. The mapping and the alignment of those district initiatives and programs are structured with the district core mission and values in mind. So we looked at this process as pretty much as a journey. So like I said, this began roughly 2 years ago. And this was a strictly collaborative process with the assistance of a gentleman by the name of Marty Chapey, who is from Oakland Schools. And what we were aiming to do is to do a sense-making process of the Oxford Schools mission and vision. So what we did is we developed a framework that encompassed 3 overarching goals, and this is the original document. But we came up with teaching and learning, infrastructure and organization, and people. And so this picture kind of says it all, because when we got through the first rendition of this process, the end result was roughly a 15-plus page document, and it did contain the tenets of the OCS mission and values, but it was still lacking a lot of cohesion because there were some aspects of goals that were actually applicable in other places, and then in some cases there were aspects of goals that were talked about in several places, or they should have been talked about in more than one place. So it was trying to really make sense of that big document. So we had a lot of heads spinning after we went through that first run through, but everybody still really dug in and wanted to see it through to the end. So then what ended up happening is we ended up having to go back to the drawing board. Again, Marty Chapey was brought on last year, again with central office and the building administrative teams. We began the process of taking that 16-17 document, and we started going through a pretty rigorous deal of paring it down in the first part of the 2017-2018 school year. And then at that point, when we kind of hit a point of saturation, I think, with the large group, Tim then requested that we have what was going to be called a task force. It was a smaller group of us, which then also consisted of central office staff, building administration, and administrative representatives from the various departments to even refine it more. And so what ended up happening is we ended up having 3 meetings starting in about April of last year, and it covered the course of about 2 months. And there was a very well thought out refinement process, and that large document was formed into a 2-page map, which is that that you have sitting in front of you right now. And just like Tim said, it covers the goals and objectives that we have for the district, the initiatives and things that we have in place. But from an administrator standpoint, at least from what we've been discussing, we now have a foundation on which we can officially review the past. We can correct and improve on the present things that are going on, and we can systematically, plan for the future. So it doesn't seem as big, it's not as messy anymore. So we have a really good platform with which to work from. And got to steal a quote from Ken. That we had a secondary principals meeting, probably about a week or 2 after we got to this present version. And Ken brought up a really good point. He said that when you look at the process of the strategic planning piece, it isn't really about getting that end product. It was more about the process. It was about that collaboration. It was everybody coming in together. And when we finished it up, I think everybody left feeling really good about where we are with it for right now. And then any questions, comments, or complaints, please send to Ken. That is ken.weaver@oxfordschools.org. I think send Ken a lot of accolades. I mean, he was really good with driving discussion through that process. So we really appreciate it.
He loves
Yeah, just say, is that
Ken?
Well, that's me kind of chuckling about.
No, that was the other section, Ken.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Board members, any comments or questions?
Good job, Carl.
I'd like to say I could take credit for the whole thing, but I just put the PowerPoint together.
Well, still,
it was a good group of
yeah.
people. I mean, it's our administrative team is just, it's a wonderful group of people to work with, and they're really, really, really smart people. I'll give them that.
So if you think back, a couple of years ago, we really didn't have our values defined. So some of our first action items that we did was to determine what the values are that our employees are going to work and live by on a daily basis. And so this by no means is the beginning work of our strategic process. I would say this is more of a midway checkpoint in that I would say it this way too. Even when we look at our budget going into next year and we look at some of the additional positions that we're proposing in our budget, a lot of that is derived directly out of this work. When we talk about, meeting the needs of our students and how do we wrap that around our organizational values and what types of structures and processes we put in place to make that come about. A lot of those decisions that sometimes we wonder, well, how did the district ever get to the point of deciding, they're going to add these positions versus something else? It really has come out of this work.
Please.
I think that the work is incredible that went into here. I'm just wondering how much time, our marketing people get to work on this, if there are just some typos in here or things like that. So is it possible to have all these kinds of things more polished before they go out?
This is a rough draft, like what I said before, like the back page, we're not done with that. We definitely, I want to make a few changes with our coloring scheme.
So is that out of Matt's department then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Like, there's just little things like initiatives, there's just some things that really need to be typed up.
Absolutely.
Because I'd like to see a final version.
Oh, absolutely.
Really gets released. And the same thing with how hard Guy worked on this.
I was going to say,
But again,
consultant guy.
it would be great if all of this could have like the touch of Oxford Community Schools on it. And we have a great marketing department, if they need to be part of these promotional materials.
Yes.
Great.
Dan, please.
So I want to just bring us back to somewhere around 2008. And I look at some, I know Joyce was there when we first started initial strategic planning. Ken, Tim, I think Nancy was there, I know Pat was there. And the goal at that point, if you all remember, was put together a document that guides us to where we want to be. And let that document be a living, breathing article so that we have a path. So if you go all the way back to then, and it's had its various different paths and how we got to where we are now, it's just good to see that it's doing its job. Our strategic plan from 10 years ago to where it is now, it's really come and it's really benefited our district. So I think the planning over those 10 years has been tremendous, and it still continues to be tremendous. So, not to be Pollyanna, but you guys are doing a great job. It's awesome.
Anything else? All right. Under 5, we have a recommendation for action. Please, Heather.
Move to approve a second reading of bylaws 0131.1 as presented.
And is there support? Mr. Stepek? Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Curriculum and instruction.
Good evening. I'm going to be presenting the 2016-17 District Annual Report. This is the report required by the law known as, it's Every Student Succeeds Act. There we go. Took me a minute to get, it's been so many different versions of it.
Yes,
there. Yeah, there you go. That's as it's fondly called. This is part of the requirement is that it be presented at the board meeting, and then it's available for public perusal in office, and then also it is on our web pages already, so we already have it out there. And every building is also, there's a district report, and then each building also does an annual report. It's just kind of a temperature check as to where we are with everything. A couple reminders about the annual report. It is a combined report for the district, which every building is as well too. And it consists of a cover letter from each building principal and from Mr. Throne, the superintendent, for the district report. The MDE provides a template. Here's the components that basically make up the different aspects of the cover letter. It's basically, if a parent is looking for basic information about the district, they can look here and just see some basic facts and figures and so forth, basically. Also, test scores is a big part of the annual report as well. What you'll see on there is state standardized tests. Then you'll see also the NAEP report, which is just a general report. You don't get individual test scores for the NAEP. NAEP is a national assessment education program test. ELA, math, science, social studies, basically. And it, like I said, it's taken all across the nation. It is randomized as whether or not you get picked, what grade level, and so forth. But you do not get like Oxford results. It's just you only see the national results, and so that's included, or the state results as well. You see state and national, and that's it. There's a section in there about teacher quality, graduation data, attendance data, and accountability status, and we're just going to quickly go through some of these things. Just a quick reminder: these are the M-STEP scores. Wow, almost a flashback there a few years ago. M-STEP last year. Basically, this just compares us to the state and the district. The district is well above the state in pretty much all the averages. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I've already presented to you on this. This is just a reminder of what's in there. If you have any questions, though, just raise your hand, pipe in, and I'll certainly answer any that you have. This is the 6th through 8th grade scores. This is for the district, not any building in particular, so that would consist of both the middle school and OVA. And here is the M-STEP for the 11th grade as well. And as what you can see is pretty much we're above the state average in many cases quite a bit. And here is the 2016-17 SAT scores for the district versus the state as well too. So do you have any random questions or any questions on the state assessment part?
Just a random question. The SAT score, has that gone up from previous years? Like, what was it last year off the top of your head, do you know?
The year before, it went up last year, and we are in the process of just getting this year's scores. So I don't know exactly, we haven't been
So
able
that's
to.
16, 17, so it went up from 15, 16?
Yes, it did. It went up a little bit. And that scores the district, that's all our scores. That is Crossroads, OVA, OSAC, Bridges, and the high school. All combined into one. Happy to report that once again, Mrs. Latowski is doing her job as she sails off into the wild blue yonder. All the parents and teachers meet the requirements. This is the graduation rate for the district versus the state, and then also just for good measure, OHS and OVA is thrown in there as well too. So you can see those statistics there. OHS went down like a percentage point, which is not a huge thing of concern. You know, it varies. A couple of kids each way can make a little bit of a difference on that. But for the most part, they're where they were the previous year. This is the daily attendance rate for Oxford School District. School days attended out of for kids, and we, for the most part, our kids attend quite often at 96.46. This is the percentage of parents that attended fall parent-teacher conferences. You know, these fluctuate a little bit here and there. Elementary always gets about 95 to 98%. Middle school, you start to see it's kind of like if you kind of remember your own parent involvement as you kind of go along. I don't know if we just get tired over a little bit of time or what. I know that in the Weaver household that occasionally happens. But our parent attendance slowly as time goes on. And it's also, I think, has to do with the transfer of ownership and responsibility for the learning. Not to mention the secondary is a lot of that is reported right online. That really has probably made the biggest difference.
I think so.
Yeah, it's quite different than the elementaries where you're getting more paper pencil information back, and so you really want to talk to the teacher versus at the middle school, high school, where you pretty much you can see their grades as they're inputting them. These are the AP IB courses offered at OHS and OVA and OSAC. The different courses, the advanced courses that we take. So as part of the report, there's information on that. This is the AP IB course enrollment and earning college credit. So the first on the left side is, as you can see, blue is enrolled in the AP IB courses at percent of students, and in the orange is the percent of enrollees earning college credit. That would be through dual enrollment and other means. And this is just for OHS. And as you can see, that it's pretty nice. It went up a little bit. And here is the percent of students in district for dual enrollment for all three buildings, OHS, OVA, and OSAC, and the different years. Now here the blue stands for the years, and the orange is for 2016-17, which is last year. And as you can see, a little bit of a drop in OSAC, but also I know that OSAC has been enrolling in the last 2 years, their classes have increased in size. So that would attribute, because in the first 2 years of the program, kids are mostly either taking virtual courses or taking seated high school courses at that point. They really, they only take like one course maybe in their 9th grade year, and then it's a couple, and then it goes to 3, 4, their junior, senior year, and so forth. So, going pretty quick, but I don't want to be like Mr. Barnett, so I want to keep moving. Is there any questions? I'm going to milk that crawling towards Mr. Barnett. Accreditation status, we were advanced ed accredited. We are in our first year. Last year we were 16, 17. The annual report always runs like almost a year behind. They are getting closer. For a while there, we were almost 2 years behind, 2.5 years. We're slowly catching up to where they happen closer and closer right after the year. So you see 16, 17 now at the end. 17, 18s will come out, I think, a little bit closer to the end of 17, 18 as we move along. So. And we have goals in reading, writing, math, science, social studies, and success in a global environment are our big goal areas. Every school has goals in these areas for the most part, except for some of the smaller schools like Crossroads and Bridges do not have the science and social studies just because of staff size and management. So forth. Accountability status. Here's our index scores. This was also presented to you before. You can see once again, this is the new accountability system that the state has come up with, and these are our scores for our accountability. It's out of 100 points. A lot of this has to do, if you recall, when I presented before, the different fluctuation in scores has to do with subgroups. And certain subgroups don't test as well as other subgroups and so forth, just historically. And, it's something to work on, but at the same time, it's like any accountability index measure, you want to take it with a bit of grain of salt and do a lot of research or looking into what makes up that score before you get fooled into thinking that score, just like your own child is not defined by any set test score, neither is any school defined by a score devised by MPE, especially people that most of them haven't even stepped foot in a school. Anyways, I was a little political statement. I met a few of the people that do the accountability and that. So, as far as communication of AER, they presented to the school boards. The schools will present in the fall to PTO. The timeline for this, it didn't happen until the end of May, so it was a little tough at the end of the year. Felt like it was better to wait until fall. And so in the fall, they'll present it to the PTO. Meantime, it will be available. It's on the district website, in main offices, and central office. And the email was sent to inform them of publication. So, any questions?
I think we're good. Thank you.
All right. And then we have a survey. This is the district survey that we give in the spring. And what you're going to see coming up is going to be just basically a year-over-year comparison. We took the questions that we did not repeat, like there was questions about the bond, and some other questions about curriculum issues and stuff like that that were kind of tied to the survey last year. We took them out. And what you're going to see basically is just the survey questions that repeat. And you'll see responses from parents mostly, students, and you'll see staff as well. So if you've got any questions, and you'll see the first slide will be the 16-17, and then the second slide, I believe, is 17-18. So in 16-17, you can kind of see the percentages here. I'm going to tell you up front, there wasn't a whole lot of change in the different statistics as you went through, and if you got a chance to look at the board packet before tonight, You probably saw that. Not a whole lot of cause for concern. Just some things we are going to, and maybe if you would like to, as part of the strategic process, we're going to be diving into this a lot deeper and going over the building results and also the district results with the administrators as part of that. When that work is done, if you want, I can come back with some things that maybe would be gleaned from the results. But today is just to kind of let you know, yeah, the survey was taken and here's some of the results that we have. Just to kind of keep you informed where we're at this point. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time diving in, but if you do have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer as best as possible. In 17-18, here you can see the results. Not much of a shift, roughly, about 60, trying to do math on the fly, 70%, 71%. We still found the schools to be very good or excellent. So, in 16-17, this is how well are we accomplishing our mission, and you can see the results there, and then you can see not much of a change from one year to the next again. Should we use curriculum? This is one thing that did change a little bit, but I think it was the staff one. You could really see them, I think, even both the need to have devices, which Mr. Jerome brought up tonight, as well as getting the student devices. We have been buying slowly but steadily student devices and getting more plentiful in the district. Next year, next school year, the sinking fund money starts to become available, and we've got to work out the exact plan. We're in the details of that. And that will happen over the summer. But we'll be looking at trying to take the district, at least at the high school, and then trickling down to the middle school to basically have devices one-to-one with every kid. We're still not sure exactly how that will look. We still have to have some discussions on that, or whether it will be like a take-home device, or whether it will be devices that stay at school, devices they check out at the beginning of the day. There's several different ways to do this, so we'll be working on that as we go through the year. And so this is 17-18 as well too. This is schools strive to use technology. This is from the community. This is bus transportation. This is what it looked like in 16-17. And this is where it is in 17-18. Still doing well. Food seems to be doing well as well. And here it is again, still. I know my kids enjoy the food service. And as well, here is the building's clean and in good condition. And you can see that it's still doing all right there. That is from the community's perspective. Here it is as well. How would you rate the overall quality of your schools? Now that was on the district, the first part of it. This is on the schools, and this is kind of all the schools together. So the parents did a survey on the district as a whole, and then they did one on their individual school. And so this is all the responses for all individual schools meshed together. So this is in 16-17, this is 17-18. Now, one of the things that you're not seeing here is there was a lot of comments and sections and stuff like that as well. And like I said, we'll be going over those with the administrators in August. And like I said, we can come back with some more things we need at that point.
I didn't see the number of parents or community members that responded.
I didn't put that down.
I'm just trying to think, like,
I'm trying to figure out, I remember exactly. I believe it was like 400 or 500. We had pretty good response to the survey.
Yeah, that makes a difference as far as understanding what the data is telling us.
Yeah, it's quite a few. I mean, this isn't like 100 parents.
I didn't see that.
Hey, yeah, you know what? I should have put that in. I will look it up, and maybe at the next board meeting, I'll make sure you have it. But I believe it was around 500.
Okay, and same thing for the buildings. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Like, because again, some of our high school parents are a little bit disengaged because of the technology. I just sort of wonder.
Yeah, and that's
back mostly on
right, and that's why I didn't give individual buildings, like any particular building, because like some of them, Bridges has a very low, and Rhodes obviously does. The parents are not as responsive there as well, and so we tend not to give those survey results out.
Absolutely. I'm just curious to know if this is mostly elementary parents who are responding, just to get an idea.
Yeah, I would say it's probably about half and half, pretty close. This is how teachers successfully show lessons relate to life outside of the school. This is a counselor is there to help or not. You can see almost 80%, 90% in there, and it's still holding there at that point with a staff member, teacher, or counselor. I think that's really important, and you know what, as we move into the family liaison positions and stuff like that, I think that will only go up with those positions. We're really excited to have those added. As well as here you see, is there a teacher or counselor to whom a student will go to help with a personal problem? The first one was a school problem. This is a personal problem. And in 17-18, you have roughly about 70%. What is a little more concerning, I think, is the 21% who say they don't know. And I think the family liaisons and that we need to look at this as maybe an area that we need to concentrate on. And that's where we're making some changes both at the high school, secondary positions, and as well as at the elementary. School-based administrators make decisions that are best interest of the students. You can see quite a few. It's 84, 85% in 16-17, and it is roughly about the same the following year. School is safe. So as you can see here, 80%, a little over, feel that the school is safe. 7% disagree. And the discipline is fairly enforced. We're sitting at 56, 57, and roughly you're still at the same point. And 28% don't know, so that's actually a pretty good number. They don't know if the discipline is actually enforced or not. That means they haven't had that experience of being disciplined. So bullying is not tolerated, and here is the comparison from the year before. And this is one of the areas too that I think that we could probably, I think the don't know, to me, are a little bit concerning that we have over 20% that don't know in the response. We should do a better job of making sure that that's understood. Here's the staff responses. What grade would you give our school district as a whole for how well they are educating our children? You can see that in A or a B, that it was almost 90 or 80%, 85%. In 16-17 and in 17-18, it's roughly still the same. A little bit less of an excellent, but I don't know that that's necessarily cause for concern at this point. In 16-17, how would you rate the district's effort to accomplish this mission? And here it is in 17-18. And this is the one I was talking about with technology. That was quite a difference with staff. And I think that's to be stressed in the direction of the way that education is going. And here is the overall quality of this individual school. 94 or 95% say it's good or excellent. Administrators as well agree or strongly agree. You're talking 90, 91% that make decisions in the best interest of students. That's pretty impressive. And here it is again. You're looking at about this, a little bit higher numbers even. I think that has a lot to do with, yes?
I'm just curious, when you get someone that makes, I'll call it like a bona fide comment, a comment that you feel is something that
You mean like a written-in comment?
a written comment,
Mm-hmm.
and they provide their contact information, do you reach out to that person? Does someone in the district reach out to that person? and
We've
say,
not really
"I wanna let
had
you know, I want
anybody-
to touch base with you
Do
regarding.
you mean in a survey?
I mean in a survey.
I've not seen anybody do that yet. I go through, read the comments. Mrs. Marshall goes through, read the comments. She points out, I mean, it's a lot of them when you get done with, because there's a couple of different areas that they can comment on. Plus the buildings then have that information. I've not seen anybody put their name attached to a comment. Their
I
phone
have.
number attached.
Back in the day I did about stuff. I was just curious. I was never.
I mean, if
replied
somebody
to-
said-
I wasn't sure if I should expect a reply or not. I was just kind of curious.
In the last 2 years, I've not seen that, but it's possible to miss it because, I mean,
Yeah, oh gosh.
it's a lot of things to
so many.
read
I was
through.
just curious kind of what we do with those comments. If you're going to put a comment section in, what do we do with it? That's my question. So you answer.
And that's, as principal, when I was at the middle school, I read the comments. Now, you got to take them with a grain of salt.
Right. That's why I said go with that. Some are probably.
Well, and
way out
everything,
there.
because you'll read in one comment how such and such a person is just awful, and then you'll have a comment the next one that such and such person walks on water. And that's where you really get to you really realize that a lot of people's experience with education is all from a perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah, and
Right.
what that interaction was like, and people misread or misinterpret, or people have bad days, and it could be just a chance experience that the reason why the interaction didn't go as well as it possibly could. So you got to read those, but I always found them important because I did find some things in some areas when I was in the middle school that I
You
took
read
from
them and
those.
pass them on to the building
Yeah.
principals and
Yep.
or administrators,
Yep.
and then they were made aware of them.
Yeah.
Or the specific departments themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my hope is that in August that we're going to spend a little bit of time and we're going to go over those and give them time to look at them and glean is there things that they need to take back. I always found it helpful. Like I said, I picked up a few areas from the surveys that, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. Matter of fact, one of the surveys that we ran was we ended up with web because of it. Was the comments that I heard, a lot of comments, and I knew it was an issue anyways, but it just reinforced it. It's not like somebody sent the idea of web in. We
Right.
found that, but it was the comment of,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Sixth graders have a hard
Lost,
time,
right, they have a hard
transition,
time.
lost, and that kept coming up in the survey, and that's when we said,
Well, that's good.
we need to do
That's great
something.
then.
So, yeah,
I would just add that, not so much this year, or last year, but a few years ago, I think it was really important that people knew these surveys were anonymous. And so there's no way for us to collect like who filled it out or however, unless they provide
Well,
that
I know that in the
information.
comments they could put, if you have any
Absolutely.
questions regarding my comment, my name is Heather
Yes,
Schaefer, or
yes,
whatever.
absolutely they could. I think that we would probably, even if that came in, it's been a year since I've looked at them, so I don't remember, but we would probably remove the name before that was passed on, because we were really conscious of our employees and the community saying, hey, we're not even sure that we trust that this is anonymous. And so we were really careful to make sure that even if names were submitted or that kind of thing, the comments were always shared, but if there was somehow that we collected names or those types of things, I don't think that they would pass along in the past.
Okay, thank you.
the last part of the presentation is really quick. This is the overall. We have 5 different domains that they give the survey in, and then 1 overall quality. And you can see the comparison of Oxford. This is the school level parent responses compared to the national averages. I will tell you that these are the national averages for last year. The ones for this year's survey, and we called them and they talked to them, and they said you could use those as fair game. They really don't shift a whole lot. That they're not going to release those until the fall of 2018 for some reason. We're not really sure. They didn't really give us the great answer, but they were waiting due to their internal processes to release those. So there is just a comparison, as you can see. This is the school level parent responses, and Oxford's just a little bit above in most areas, are at the national average. So just to kind of let you know, academic support, just as to kind of read these going across, academic support dimension includes several items that ask parents, staff members how strongly they disagree or agree with statements about learning standards, teacher expectations, rigor and relevance of schoolwork, teacher feedback. Student support consists of 5 items, including how strongly parents, staff members, and students disagree or agree with statements about teacher counseling, teacher and counselor assistance with school and personal concerns, and academic and career planning. School leadership consists of 5 items about administrators' decision-making, communication, availability, and responsiveness, family involvement, statements about communication with families and opportunities to volunteer, and the value of input to school staff. And then last, safety and behavior. Obviously, that one is basically enforcing discipline, bullying, and safety. Yes, Mr. Stevick.
I'm sorry if I missed it, but what do these numbers mean? Is this like...
This is the overall average. They take it and they put it on a scale, 1 to 5.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
1 to 5, gotcha.
Sorry, I should have said that.
Okay.
1 to 5, and basically then they go through and they average all, and I forgot off the top of my head exactly how many schools, but it's quite a few. It's like 80 or 90 elementary schools, 60, 70 secondary schools that take part in this national survey, and they take and aggregate all the results, and that's us compared to that group that took the survey. This is the exact survey.
I just wasn't sure if that was 1 to 4 or 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Or whatever. So need something to base it against.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does that help? Any other questions? Yes.
Ken, appreciate very much you mentioning a few times that when I don't knows were a pretty significant number. That's probably something to look at. Something that caught my eye was when you polled or surveyed our staff on the whole area of are we accomplishing our mission, there's quite a shift. You went from 30% excellent to 21% excellent. There's a shift, which I would consider in a wrong direction. And it might be something that you want to look at, especially with all the strategic planning you're doing and all the things that are working on. Why did the staff almost cut in half its understanding of that we're doing an excellent job meeting the mission?
Yeah, and I don't know exactly, that would be something to look at and talk with staff, because the mission statement changed, and I don't know that
and collaboratively they were part of it.
Staff,
So that's my
administrators were, teachers not quite as much.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe that was part of what that was like. This is a little bit different. It's not radically different, but it mostly was input by administrators.
Sure, but it would be neat to kind of ask the question.
Yes.
Where do we deviate? And then the other one was I thought was interesting.
And that might be in the comment section to look at with staff.
And then the area of safety, our staff commented more negatively than the community. There was a very little shift in the community feel, but our staff had a bit of a more significant shift.
And one thing, remember, they took the survey back in March and April. Tough times, and before a lot of further safety measures were put in place by the district as well too. Plus, I think this year, and I think it's true across all the schools across the state, across the nation, teachers have been deeply impacted by the events that occurred this year. Not that they weren't in the past, but it just seemed to be more right there. I don't know, I bet it was for all, I was in schools since 92, and I don't remember quite the, I don't want to say concern, but the outpouring, heightened awareness of safety and different things that you can do.
And I would also say kudos to you guys for the community not to negatively react to the same kinds of pressures. Means we're communicating well. We're letting them know where we're at and what we're doing. So great job.
Yeah.
To echo what Tom was saying, like even this slide sort of to me indicates that our staff is feeling a little less assured of the district's movement. Not statistically significant, but still, when you look at where our staff is, it's below the national average in almost every single area and every single level. So I just think it's something we just need to bring our staff along.
You mean with the safety aspect?
Almost across the board.
Yeah.
Like if I look at academic support 3.58, well, our staff thinks it's 3.51. Like every single number is a little bit lower than the national. And so I think it's something we need to look at.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to know if any one building is driving those numbers up or down.
Okay. Yeah, we can look at it. Like I said, we plan on doing a full evaluation of this.
I think, and again, this is not like being critical, we're just sort of asking questions.
You know, I echo that, I think that's, we need to have that information.
And here is the students at the secondary level and their responses. And they are, like you said, they are a little bit below as well. Now, this is also, once again, this is compared to 16, 17 averages. The individual recommended we go ahead and do that. I don't know if they're going to be different across for the national averages for 17, 18 with the other schools as well, with some of the events and stuff that has occurred. It wasn't a normal year.
Well, you're right, it wasn't a normal year. It hasn't been a normal year for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, all the things that are happening in schools, political cycles, negativity, it's all out there. And I think when you're in a school and the staff feels the pressure, it trickles down to the kids feel it. And I think it's not an excuse, but I think there is a lot to be looked at. There is a lot of angst amongst kids in schools and people that are in a school building this year more than ever. I'm glad that we've taken the steps that we have taken to kind of beef up security. We can beef it up all we want. We still got to get the heart and the mind going in the right direction. So anything you can pick out of that would be...
Well, and that's what we're hoping to do in August. Like I said, this is just to kind of keep you updated where the results were. Not meant to give you a whole lot of answers at this point because we haven't had time ourselves to go over the results. By the time the survey closed, we got everything back. It was kind of the end of the year. Felt it was better to hang on to it when everybody's fresh and as part of the strategic planning process to incorporate this into that and look and see what we can glean. So be happy to bring back anything that we can find and figure out, and maybe we'll have some clues as to why some of the numbers shifted a little bit or went down or were below the national average. So, okay?
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
And board members, we, at the beginning of the meeting, we added a 6C.
No, I almost forgot. Just to kind of to remind you, last board meeting, the ELA teachers, Mrs. Gibbons and Mrs. Okazinski, presented. This is the results of their curriculum process this year. They selected this resource after piloting 2 of them. It took a while for them to kind of get some of the quotes together, to get some materials, stuff together for the quote. So unfortunately, it couldn't be here last week. I finally got it like today. And so I am trying to ask if it would be okay if you could approve it tonight, if you feel comfortable with that, so that we can purchase this, get our PD lined up, and be ready for the start of the school year. So I apologize that it wasn't ready, but just at the mercy of the person who quote.
I think we were talking somewhere around the 250 range. So this is all that.
Yeah, a little bit. This is, by the way, for 6 years of access.
Sure.
So what will happen actually is, just so you know, like the 30,000 for the resources for the close reading resources and the reading and writing resources is 33,000. Because we're going with digital resources in a year, I will be able to not have that cost anymore because it will be included in the digital package. We do not have enough student devices at this time to be able to do that this year. So as we move forward, that cost will not have to be there. But in order to effectively implement the program, I felt it was important for those resources to be here for the year. And so that we can, this is going to be quite a shift for the ELA department. This approach, while it's not Readers and Writers Workshop that you see at the elementary level, it is closer aligned than what they've ever been before. And so this is quite an instructional shift. And so in order to support that, I wanted to make sure they had these resources to be able to do that. The other larger quote is a 6-year access, and I will be actually splitting that up probably over 3 years and paying that. And we're really excited about these resources. They rate out very high nationally, and the teachers were very excited to have these. They have not had true support in resources in probably 10, 12 years, updated resources. So they're really excited. So.
Dan?
So I just want to be, this number, this 33,196.02 goes away after this next coming year.
Yes.
Or after we go this year, and after that it goes away.
Yep.
And this 190,028.85.
Will be split over 3
It's
years.
split over 3 years, but we have it for 6 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's digital access to the materials as well. There will be some hard novels that will be updated, purchased as well, but those will go through a vetting process as well. So, Mr. Bailey?
Just out of curiosity, I mean, if most of this is digital, why are they charging $17,000 shipping and handling for digital equipment?
There is, with that as well, with this first year, I misspoke a little bit. The first year, it is paper and digital. The second through sixth year, the paper costs will drop away. So the shipping and handling is for that, for the first year, for the paper resources, because we do not have enough student devices to go completely digital. So I need them the first year, then after that, it helps out with the cost, and this will go down a bit, the actual cost. So I will go back to them at the end of the year, basically, and renegotiate, and it will be a little bit lower of a cost. Unfortunately, companies have wisened up, or I shouldn't say wisened up, but they do not give you a huge price break for printing of the materials. In all of the resources that we have purchased and that you have approved, all of it has the digital. There's not pretty, other than the Lucy Calkins Readers and Writers Workshop, they all come with some type of the K-5 materials. The 612 all comes with digital access. The math programs, the math books that you bought, everything. That price is pretty consistent, and that has been the trend in curriculum resources, is if you buy the book or you buy just the digital access, it's still the same cost. They don't give you much of a break, or if they do give you a break, it's only a couple of bucks. But unfortunately, especially this first year, we just don't have enough devices at the high school to be able to do that. So.
All right, board members, let's, I want to put some order in front of this. We should have a motion first, and then we'll discuss more. We're going to look at two motions. The one is printed on your agenda, which is basically to approve the curriculum, and the second one is going to be financially doing the purchase. So would someone like to do the first motion that you find on at the bottom of the page? Please, Heather.
Move to approve the ELA 9 through 12 curriculum as presented.
Is there support? Dan? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now the addition of language, Dr. Brazington.
Move to approve college.
It's really not curriculum. You were not presented, and that's where we've got to, it's really curriculum resources. You're not approving curriculum tonight.
No,
So
that's the second part.
that's both of
The
them.
resource. I know, but that's the motion coming up,
Okay.
is the resources.
Okay, but this one says curriculum as presented.
That was what lesson we presented last week.
Right, but that wasn't curriculum. They
I get what you're saying.
There was no curriculum done with that. We did not have any curriculum presented. That was a presentation of ELA resources and the process they went through to do that. They are writing, I just want to be clear with you, they are writing curriculum next year to go along to support those resources. Both middle school science and 9 through 12 ELA need to have the resources to write their curriculum.
So if we put the word resources after curriculum, is that an appropriate understanding?
Yes, I'm sorry, sir.
All right, so,
Can we reread it?
yes, please.
A reread to move to approve the ELA 9 through 12 curriculum resources as presented.
Dan, are you willing to have a second on that? Second? All right, support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Yeah.
Now you're looking for a motion for purchase, correct?
I would ask Mrs. Bono as to...
Yes, when we last emailed, it was not clear to us that, there was a separate motion in curriculum versus curriculum resources, so I would probably defer to the one that we emailed earlier.
Okay. Do you have that?
Yes, we have.
We have that.
Okay.
That's what we're doing right now. Move to approve College Board quotes in the amount of $33,196.02, which is quote 000-30715, and $190,028.85, which is quote 000-30716 for 912 ELA resources.
Dr. Brazelton provides the motion. Is there support? Heather, support? Now, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. Wow, that is really good.
Mr. Question.
Just reading the title.
So on the top of our next page, is that a curriculum motion or a curriculum resource motion?
I don't believe, Mrs. Bonham, did they not approve the purchase of the middle school curriculum last board meeting? I do not believe that is needed. Apologize, we were in.
So this motion is-
I do not think we need that. I believe it was, you passed it last time.
Okay.
At the board meeting, and I apologize for confusion. We were down in Saline all day, and we said that's our excuse, so. And we didn't get time to communicate.
All right. Mr. Barna, Ken warmed it up for you. Oh, hold on a second. Yes, Dan.
Do we now have to go back and amend anything on this agenda because it's, okay, I just want to be sure. I don't want to get ourselves into a position where we approve an agenda and we struck an item without approving it.
I just don't think that you're gonna have anybody to make movement.
Yeah,
If no
it dies.
movement, then
Okay, all right, I just want to be sure.
So in that sense, we're not officially striking it. It's nobody's making a motion. Now, Mr. Barna, Ken's warmed you up.
Well, good evening. I think I did all my talking last week, last board meeting, so thank you. I have 2 recommendations for action this evening.
Go ahead, Dr. Bridges.
Move to approve both the final amended 2017-18 budget and 2018-19 original general budget, capital project, community service, food service, debt retirement funds, including the operating and debt service levies as discussed.
And is there support? Mr. Bailey? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Dan.
Move to approve the purchase of 2 65-passenger buses from the general fund budget for Capital City, lowest bidder, at the cost of $79,562 apiece.
And is there support? Mr. Stepik? Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Human Resources.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I thank the board for approving the 2 hire recommendations in the consent agenda. Paisley Howell will be assigned teacher at the high school, and Taylor LaMagna will be a math ELA teacher at the middle school. So thanks so very much. And there are also 4 motions for the board to approve for.
4 motions. Mr. D'Alessandro.
Move to approve the central administration employment contracts for the superintendent for the term commencing July 1st, 2018, and ending December 31st, 2021.
Support? Heather? Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second motion, Dan.
Move to approve the central administration employment contract for the deputy superintendent of curriculum and instruction for the term commencing July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019.
Is there support? Mr. Stepik? Discussion? There was a pause, wasn't there? You better shorten those presentations, mister.
You gotta shorten those up, man.
There are. You got it right. All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Third motion. Dan?
Move to approve the central administration employment contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations for the term commencing July 31st, 2018, ending June 30th, 2019.
All right. Dan jumped to the fourth motion.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fine.
sorry.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
Is there support? Mr. Bailey? Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Back to the third.
I'll do it so I don't want Denise to get mad at me.
There you go.
Move to approve the central administrator employment contract for the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services for the term commencing July 1st, 2018, and ending June 30th, 2019.
Support. Heather. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Student Services. 10, we have policy. Heather, you want to take us to those policies?
Yeah, I'll read them. Move to approve the adoption of policy 6325, the procurement of federal funds and grants.
Is there support? Dan? Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to approve the technical correction to policy numbers 1422, 1623, 1662, 2260, 2260.01, 3122, 3123, 3362, 4133, 4123, 4362, 5517, and 5517.02, effective July 1st, 2018. The technical correction is the substitution of David Pass for Nancy Latowski.
Support, Dan. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Nancy, you're officially out.
Let's get the room.
You all of a sudden look a lot lighter.
Who's got a big smile? It's like this. I like it.
Patrice back there looks a little lighter too. I don't know what's going on in the room here. All right, unscheduled audience participation. Is there anyone seeking to communicate with the board? Yeah. Do we have a card that can be filled out? We got to start announcing these at the beginning.
They're in the portfolio binder on the counter.
Oh, you can fill it out later. I'm Jim Reese. I live on Colts Road, Oxford, Michigan. I just wanted to come by and say what two great people, Nancy Latowski, that I had the pleasure to work with, and just through tumultuous times, smooth times, just a class act through all of it. Just such a good person, and you're really going to be missed in this district. I mean, like a well-oiled machine with you here.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best in your retirement. And Pat, you know you saved me numerous times, and I just appreciate you so much, and I'm so happy for you that you're so young, both of you, and you've got your retirement ahead of you, and I'm just really happy, and both of you, big shoes to fill, and I just wanted to come by and say that you're really going to be missed.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Scheduled activities. Upcoming board meetings. Anything on the clarification? Final board comments. Corey, how about if we start with you?
Okay. Just want to echo Nancy and Pat. It's been a pleasure. I haven't got to work with you guys a long time, but it's been an honor, and you guys will be missed. Guy, great presentation. Your passion, it's awesome. The work you're doing over there, it shows. So great job.
Heather.
I'm going to echo a little bit of that. And ladies, you know how I feel about both of you, and I just, big shoes to fill. I've really had the pleasure of being your friend and working with you both. And I thought, Guy, I thought you're doing it right over there. I just really appreciate the work that you're doing, and I would like to come by also. Maybe Tom and I can come together so it's not a lot on you. I would like to meet your staff too. I'd like to know the eyes and ears that are out there. So I would very much like to do that. If we can get on your schedule when it's convenient, I would very much like that. I thought the survey feedback was really interesting. We really were in like the 80th to 90th percentile on agree and strongly agree, and I think that's shooting for the stars and making it. I really do think that you're never going to get 100%, you know. So I think that we're heading in the right direction. So good job. And I will not be here on July 10th.
All right.
That's it.
Mr. Stepik?
Thank you. I would also like to thank Nancy and Pat for your service. It's been great. And I've had a lot more close working with Pat. Nothing against you, Nancy. But all those conferences that I used to go to, Pat went to them all as well. So, Angela, you know, you're going to go to some conferences and learn some things. And they're great. They really are. And so I got to spend a lot of time with Pat and learned a lot. Thank you so much for that. God, your enthusiasm is amazing. I love it. I just love it. It's so great. And it's a great passion to have. And, you know, in the work that I've done over the years as an attorney, I have those similar kinds of passions to help kids out that are struggling and going through situations and get them the help that they need, that you can get them out into society and then be a productive member. So that's awesome. I love to hear that kind of stuff. And Ken, we love you.
Ouch, what hesitation there.
No, a lot of that stuff was really interesting tonight. I liked hearing all that too, so thank you for that report.
Dr. Brasington.
Just echoing what my three colleagues have said. Just Nancy and Pat, it's been a pleasure working with you in this capacity as well as an employee here. It's been absolutely awesome. I really appreciate hearing from IDS and Clark. Glad to hear that things are moving forward with the bond the way that our taxpayers would expect. Just great to hear them with bond update, and everything else is great.
Very good. Dan?
Just to kind of piggyback on what Joyce was just saying about Clark and IDS, this is a very contractor-friendly time. And for us to have our projections below our budget shows the work that they're doing on our behalf. And when we selected our contractor and our architect, I think that really plays a big part of what we do. We pick the right people, and that's a good thing. This is a very contractor-friendly time. Ken, you know, we get after you, but that's because I can personally say I enjoy the information that you bring to the table. The questions that we have for you it's just because we want to make the district better, and we bring them. We feel very comfortable bringing those to your attention because we know you want the same thing. So we kind of kid with you a little bit, but we know that we're all on the same page, and I appreciate it. Nancy and Pat. Pat, you know, like Jim said, you've saved me more than a couple of times, and I appreciate it, and I can't put into words the amount of respect I have for you. Same with Nancy. I've been around here a long time, and Nancy's always been steady, and you know what, you brought great people to our district, and that means you're doing your job outstanding. I wish you both the best in retirement.
Well said.
So
Well said, everyone. I haven't known the two of you very long, but your professionalism is off the charts. And so for both of you, I just appreciate it. The way that you handle things and the way that you communicate. It's awesome. I'm just proud of our district. I guess I'm saying that every time we meet now. Guy, the work you did with the GED, the work that you know, there might be districts in the country that would just bring in a little money and find excuses why it might be tough to do what you do. And you're excelling. You're excelling in a tough environment. And that's what we do. It doesn't matter where we're at. We do the best we can wherever we're at. And I love the strategic planning, the creating a framework, right? That sits above everything and says, okay, you can write a vision statement and a mission statement, but are we doing it when the rubber hits the road? That's incredible. And the way that you did it collaboratively, it should have a lasting effect as this thing starts to settle down on everybody. It just, all of a sudden it answers the whys and the whats. Why we do it and what we should do about it, right? And so I'm just impressed. So thank you very much. Sir?
So I'll say my goodbyes to Nancy and Pat later. I'm not going to do it here. It's been a multi-month process, so. I think the only thing I'd say, Guy, is, I could be wrong. As Ken said, we were down in Saline today doing some other work with a few other districts, but I don't remember more students getting their GED both this year and last year at Crossroads since I've been here in 2000. And so I think that speaks to what you're doing. Just really good stuff. So really proud. And that's all I have.
Awesome. It's a great day to be a Wildcat. This meeting is adjourned.